Hello, you Midas Mighty. We've got late breaking news. This just in. Michael Sussmann, who'd been charged by special counsel John Durham with lying to the FBI, was acquitted by a Washington jury unanimously after about 6 hours of deliberation. The charge was a lie, and that it was material, meaning it was really important to the FBI. That's the short story. And so a big day for Michael Sussmann and a very bad day for John Durham. But the backstory is much more important here. So 3 years ago, Bill Barr says we think maybe there was spying on the Trump campaign, and that's been a storyline that has been embraced by the Trump faithful, and he appointed John Durham, the special counsel, to look into that. Appointing him, therefore, meant the DOJ could fire him only for cause. So when a new DOJ comes in, Merrick Garland, they can't fire John Durham unless he acts in some derelict way, and they can't do it politically either, because it would really look as if they were getting rid of this Trump holdover. So Durham's been digging for some 3 years for this supposed treasure trove of information about how the Trump campaign was spied on, and he's come up essentially empty even before today. He had one small conviction that someone else had developed that really had nothing to do with the case, and then his big effort here was Michael Sussmann, who was alleged to have gone to the FBI to give the FBI information about purported communications between the Trump campaign and Alfa Bank, a Russian financial institution. Those communications didn't pan out as being anything nefarious. But the charge against Sussmann was that when he went to the FBI, who he knew, he had worked there, he said, "Hey, I'm not here on behalf of a client." And Durham charged, yes, you really were. You were there for the Clinton campaign, and you were trying to manipulate the FBI. So pretty small lie, not anything about the substance. And moreover, would it have really mattered? Sussmann said, "I didn't lie. I told the truth. I wasn't there for the campaign." And there was a tussle about billing records and the like. There was also back and forth about whether the FBI general counsel remembered it accurately, because he had changed his story. But he did come in at trial and say, "I'm sure he told me he was there, not on behalf of any campaign." And that really would have mattered. Why? Well, they said, maybe we would have investigated it a little more cynically and a little more jaundiced way. But the guy who investigated it didn't even know that Sussmann, in fact, had made that representation. And more generally, FBI agents all the time assume that witnesses are biased or they have some axe to grind, and they just look at the information. So on this sort of legal notion of materiality, would something little like this really have mattered? This always looked like a weak case. And it looked even weaker when you thought about the nature of the lie. A guy goes and says he's not there for a client when purportedly he is. It is not the lie of the century. And under the statute, it has to be something that would really matter. So the prosecution made its case over the last couple weeks, and people thought generally it went in pretty well. They were able to get pretty close to made their best case that he had said this, and made their best case for why it could matter at all. Maybe they would have investigated it in a different way, etc. And then after a few witnesses, Sussmann didn't take the stand. And for a case like this, when the jury probably would want to hear from him, that was considered a pretty high-risk move. But they just concluded, as it turned out rightly, that they could rely on an argument that the prosecution just hadn't proven its case. And that is what happened. The jury came back after the 3-day weekend, unanimously found not guilty. We don't know exactly why. We probably will learn because the jurors may be interviewed. But if it would stand to reason that they were overall cognizant of what a sort of picayune, trivial, even silly charge it was on John Durham's part, and they were reacting. And if they were, that's what a jury does, and that's, just a common sense verdict. What's it mean for John Durham? Hard to say if he has any other arrows left in his quiver, but he's been pretty well humiliated, has this broader storyline of some kind of conspiracy by, as they like to put it, the Obama FBI to spy on Trump. Sussmann, of course, is vindicated, but having taken a huge reputational, financial, and emotional hit for reasons that basically didn't have to do with him, but had to do with the broader battle about whether this spying in fact took place. So I've really criticized this case all the way along. I'm just quoting myself, forgive the profanity, but on Talking Feds with our DOJ panel, I called it a chicken shit case. I think it was a chicken shit case. I think the jury thought it was a chicken shit case. So that is the end of the line now on the Michael Sussmann prosecution and very possibly the John Durham investigation. We'll see if he wants to somehow soldier on, having spent 3 years for just basically one acquittal. That is the story, you Meidas Mighty. This is Harry Litman from Talking Feds. We now have our own YouTube channel. You can just go to YouTube and check us out. And for now, talk to you later.